Hello and welcome to this session. My name is Mark Morley. I'm a Senior Director of Product Marketing here at OpenText. Now, during this session, we're going to be looking at Business Network 2025, what next for business integration at Nestle. And I'm joined today by Ravi Arunasalam. He's a Senior Partner in the delivery of business solution integration at Nestle. Now, when you look back over the last 12 to 18 months, many companies have had to accelerate their digital transformation projects. There's been unprecedented disruption in various supply chains around the world. And companies have had to accelerate their digital transformation, accelerate their move to the cloud, so that they can get access to information anytime, any place, anywhere. New digital supply networks are being built and designed to really anticipate disruptions and reconfigure themselves appropriately to mitigate their respective impacts. So this is leveraging, for example, AI and machine learning. And who knows, we may even get to the state of an autonomous supply chain in the near future. So the report that you see on screen was prepared by Deloitte, Jim Kilpatrick, and he has done a lot of research over the last 12 months in terms of how global supply chains have been impacted. He, like many analysts around the world, have described COVID-19 as a black swan event. It's really going to force the hand of CIOs around the world to change the way in which they manage their IT infrastructure and accelerate their move to the cloud. Now, here at OpenText, we have increased our investment in terms of our own business network, and we have a number of investment themes shown on the left-hand side. The first one is around convergence. We have a number of networks within our own portfolio which we're converging onto one platform. The visibility and analytics deriving insights from the 26 billion transactions that move across our network on a global basis. Improving the user interaction, the experience of how companies engage with the information that moves across our network, and then providing more self-service tools to allow companies to tailor their user experience and decide on what information they want to see and interact with on the network. But being able to also use increased programmability, leveraging APIs to be able to integrate seamlessly to SAP S/4HANA, for example. But all the while, remembering that networks need to be secure and compliant. So these are the 6 key areas or investment themes that we currently have today within our business network. Now, on the right-hand side, we have really a picture of 3 key horizons over the next 3 to 5 years. So Horizon 1 really represents where we are today, exploring B2A or business to anything integration. The ability to integrate the outside world, the outside supply chain seamlessly with internal business systems such as SAP, with Oracle, with Microsoft, for example. So B2A integration is all about building that digital foundation that allows companies to seamlessly integrate with people, systems, and things across their network. But all the while being able to get improved visibility, being able to integrate with IoT, Internet of Things, connected devices, whether they are shipment pallets or shipping containers, for example. But all the while, the chief procurement officers will need to monitor their suppliers, who they're working with on a daily basis, and make sure they embrace ethical sourcing standards. And then moving on to Horizon 2, the emergence of the control tower, and this is something I'm going to expand on in just a moment. Extended self-service capabilities, integration with AI and machine learning, and being able to implement risk management solutions to be able to improve the way in which companies select, engage, and manage their trading partners on a day-to-day basis. And then when we look at Horizon 3 in the upper right there, 3 to 5 years' time, the autonomous supply chain, the combination really of AI, IoT, and even possibly blockchain, when working collectively to deliver that autonomous supply chain vision. Now, RPA, or robotic process automation, has also been top of mind with many CIOs around the world. And being able to engage with RPA and leverage RPA solutions across a network could certainly be of interest to many CIOs. The final 2 there, developing more mobile solutions. If companies are going to be moving their information to the cloud, They will need to accelerate the development of mobile applications that allows their employees and external stakeholders to securely engage with that information. And then finally, being able to really put AI and machine learning to work, being able to predict when replenishment needs to take place, for example. So this is where we're combining AI, machine learning with IoT, for example, to really accelerate the replenishment process and hopefully reduce costs and make that replenishment process more accurate, I guess, from a planning perspective. And then I mentioned a moment ago about a control tower. So just very briefly talking through this slide, I've described this as an ecosystem control tower. Many other companies out there today will be looking at supply chain control towers in particular. And the reason I've chosen the word ecosystem to place in here is because we provide an integration platform, a digital foundation that integrates both the external supply chain and, as I said, the internal business environment. So this end-to-end ecosystem, you need to have visibility in terms of what's going on both externally and internally to your business. So at the top of the slide, just very talking through top to bottom. So we've got three different types of users. We have business users, technology users, and partner users. Now, before they can get access to the information accessible to them through this platform, the integration environment, which we call Trading Grid, that's our network, they will have to go through some form of security check, make sure they are who they are on the network, and they have the rights to be able to get access to information. So we achieve that through our identity and access management platform or our supplier portal, the ability to securely assign digital identities to each and every user in the ecosystem. When they are signed in, they get access to the control tower components shown in the middle of the screen. Now, whether that's deriving insights from our AI and machine learning platform, whether that's leveraging analytics. I mentioned earlier on, we've got 26 billion transactions moving across our network on an annual basis. We have an analytics engine embedded into those transaction flows. So that allows us to monitor supplier performance, which suppliers are performing on time, which suppliers have provided the most purchase orders, for example. And then we move across to orchestration, the ability to define workflows and make sure information gets to where it's got to go to within the ecosystem. Shipment visibility and being able to leverage IoT, for example, to track shipments as they move through the supply chain, not just monitoring its location, but also being able to monitor the condition of the goods, the temperature, the humidity, etc. And then finally, coming on to the collaboration aspect of this control tower, being able to engage with the trading partner community on a day-to-day basis, being able to improve the person-to-person or people-to-people collaboration across the supply chain. Now, underpinning this is a visibility tool, a visibility platform that provides those insights into both the internal systems, the information flowing between the systems, and the business transactions moving across the supply chain. That information is fed through our business network called Trading Grid. And not only that, we can also feed potentially this control tower with external sources of information, which could be coming from ERP, could be coming from a transport management system, third-party logistics service feeds. So, for example, DHL, FedEx, UPS. And then social media, weather, and even travel information as well to see whether there are going to be delays on any important routes where a shipment may be moving. So this gives you a really high-level overview of our vision of a control tower. And I will say that most of the technology you see in the center of the screen is actually available today. And we're in the process of building a control tower solution that we will be making available to companies in the very near future. So this gives you a vision, a view of where we want to go with Business Network in the near future. Now, when you look at all of the technologies that are out there today, many companies are embarking on a journey of digital transformation. They're looking at how they can use drones, for example, for last mile delivery, wearable devices for picking goods in warehouses, IoT for connected devices, even blockchain for retaining provenance of goods, 3D printing, robotics, and even AI. So future supply chains will need to embrace new sources of information and an exponential volume of information for intelligence and speed. Now, this is all very well, giving you the open text perspective, but I wanted to introduce one of our customers, Nestle, and in particular, Ravi Arunasalam, who I introduced at the beginning of this session. And Ravi, let's go through a number of questions and understand a bit more about how you're working with OpenText. So Ravi, welcome to this session. I know that we've worked together over the last few years. I've been involved with a number of QBR, quarterly business reviews, with both yourself and your colleagues at Nestle. And it's always been really interesting to understand about the dynamics of the company and the sheer scale of the company. But I'm wondering whether you could just introduce your business. Which industries do you primarily serve, and what do you manufacture?
Sure. First thing first, thanks, Mark, for having me here. Yeah, and I hope you had a great summer break, because we all do need to manage life along with our important businesses. So Nestle, in simple terms, is in the food, beverage, health, wellness, and nutrition product space. Now that's quite an elaborate space to be in. Our mission is to delight our vast community of customers and consumers. We all want to provide quality products and services, but it's not just about providing a service, it's about delighting that community that we serve. Nestle can trace its roots back to 1860s. It all started when a Swiss pharmacist saw the key reason for infant mortality at that time being malnutrition. So since that noble beginning, Nestle has evolved, and today it has approximately 300,000 employees worldwide, about 2,000 plus global and local brands, about 400 plus factories worldwide, and with 196 countries serving our products and services.
Yeah, certainly a large business. So I know that we've been working together between our two companies for more than 10 years now. You have got a relatively complex integration environment. I just wonder whether you can provide a high-level overview of what's actually within your integration environment. What are you trying to integrate to, both externally and internally, from what you can reveal about your environment?
So how much time do we have, Mark? Well, I'm going to try to share this by first stating that being in the size and the scale we operate in, we are trying to move fast. We're trying to be fast, being agile, but not break things. So when it comes to integration, not breaking things is even more crucial, where our integration transcends beyond just the scope of business to business, goes into the greater realm of enterprise. We have interfaces and integration that influence connections down to the consumer end. So to describe our complex integration landscape, it is best described by sharing it serves three main aspects. One is the integration of systems integration to the systems of records. The other is integration of unified data and to serve the analytics. And third is the integration of systems of engagement. So to elaborate on that, integration to system of records are where we have enabled our on-premise and our cloud integration. And by looking at event and real-time based integration, and also incorporating sophisticated change data control to our SAP backend, our SAP ERP. On the second aspect, where we are doing integration of unified data and to serve our analytics goal, this is where we are establishing flexible, reusable data models through a data catalog to serve many of our functions consistently, real and near time. And the third aspect, which is integration of systems of engagement, regardless if it's a physical endpoint or a web or a mobile app or a transactional service, we are incorporating a combination of structured transactional integration, which is like EDI, file-based transfer, as well as lean integration, such as microservices to connect and serve information. So I know I've tried to encapsulate something that's large and complex into words, and hopefully you get the gist of what I've shared.
Absolutely. You did a great job in 2 minutes to articulate that, because I know you have got a really complex environment. Now, just a few moments ago, I talked about the need for companies to think about having a digital foundation, digital backbone. So how important is it for Nestle to have that seamless integration from the outside world into your internal business systems, such as ERP?
Mark, the digital economy operates on a continuous flow of information between the buyer and the seller. And integration is about enabling ecosystems that affect flow of data and transactions. So our markets and business processes, and this is across the Nestle group, rely on integration technology platforms for core business execution. And continued investment for integration technology foundation is therefore critical to our success.
And I know over the last 10 years, we've been working with you in really a partnership. It's been an outsourced approach to helping you integrate your various systems into your partner community. So how has this outsourced approach, that managed service, if you will, benefited your business?
I'm going to take a more general stance with this. Yeah, all businesses are deemed resilient if they're able to deliver to many priorities at the same time. So business needs ambidexterity, being able to do left and right things at the same time. In our case, ambidextrousness is required. And more importantly, in today's digital environment, the digital ambidexterity in doing multiple things well requires us to look into partnering with providers of service such as yourself, OpenText. So we have the ability to serve these various priorities and within an acceptable budget. With business volatility and pressures that come with it, such landscape needs not just provide tools and services to us at a cost, but it's about providing continuous value at a sustainable price so that we can do what we do best, which is manufacture food, manufacture product and services.
So there are many different types of disruptive technologies out there today entering the market. How does Nestle keep on top of these trends? And how do you prioritize what to explore next? What is the next big thing for Nestle?
A very valid question, right? Organizations such as mine have to be able to pivot quickly across our many priorities. And our volatility comes in many different forms. Say, for instance, procurement, rising prices, volatile exchange rates. These are things that we face on a daily basis. Production, where our raw material providers would drive prices up. And sometimes we also face low stock affecting our production planning. In the area of sales, we experience sometimes low demand, seasonality, or competition driving our sales down, and therefore forcing us to drive prices down. And this then leads to a price war. In the area of finance and legal, we are faced with regulatory challenges. And this is influenced at a country level, at a local legislation level, and that affects our production, sales, and our ability to serve our other compliances. So by understanding which of these challenges have a bigger burden or risk, and by recognizing opportunities that need to be tapped, we can best focus our efforts and investments to serve those areas. And this is where integration plays a crucial part. It is not only about making data from various sources accessible, but it's by having it ready on time, real time, and to serve those priorities that I mentioned.
Now, one of the key disruptive technologies being talked about by nearly every company today, especially when it comes to visibility, is IoT. Certainly a way to improve visibility, know where assets are, know where shipments are. How important is this technology, specifically for Nestle, in terms of, for example, supporting your global warehouse strategy and knowing where everything is and what has to be delivered to the retailers, etc., businesses that you serve?
Sure. So if I look at the space of warehousing, which is a critical supply chain function, for us, it's extremely crucial that we make our inventory obsolescence manageable. By doing so, that aids us reduce cost of inventory markdowns, inventory write-offs. And then by increasing inventory visibility, especially in present environment, where we know we're seeing increasing demand, this has become even more crucial. So this is where we're seeing technology play a very important part. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you wanted to understand how we see IoT play in this space.
Yeah,
IoT
sure.
is a crucial piece of that puzzle to support real-time inventory update. Through that machine and digitized sending of information, we eliminate manual and error-prone redundant processes. So hopefully that answers what what we're doing in this space or how technology helps us.
It does. And when you look at the volume of information moving across your business, not just the transaction-based data, but the IoT sensor-based data, clearly there's a lot of information there that companies can leverage for business insights. So I was just curious around another big topic that everyone talks about: big data, AI, and machine learning. You must be processing petabytes of data across the business each year. How are you thinking about applying AI and machine learning to that information to derive new business insights moving forward?
Sure. So let me first start by saying how we are going about it before I get to what we are doing. Analytics, data, and integration, which in Nestle IT was separate product streams, are now unified under a single banner. And this helps support a cohesive strategy to make data more findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. We are aiding Nestle's digital transformation by enabling our vast workforce to rely on data and insights, and by establishing data assets that service a vast number of our business needs. So that's what we're going about it. Now, what are we doing in this area? So we are rapidly embracing, as you alluded to, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and cognitive algorithms to help carry out supply chain and demand planning activities. In manufacturing, we are using sensors to control and efficiently manage heat, waste, lighting, physical security, maintenance schedules, besides just the inventory control that I had mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. But with all this being said, our philosophy is not about replacing people with machines, but rather to automate to liberate and shape the strategy that naturally allows employees to work exclusively on activities aligned to business KPIs. So through AI and ML, we help remove the burden of labor and waste in data and information management.
No, that's really interesting from an insight point of view. I've got a couple more questions just to close off this session. So we've covered IoT, we've covered AI and machine learning, and now if we look at the big elephant in the room, blockchain, which sort of reared its head, I think around December 2017. I've been involved with many customer presentations wanting to know, well, what is the technology? How can it impact supply chains? Still a lot of hype about it 3 years on. So I know Nestle has started to embrace it and look at it from a product provenance point of view. But do you have any insights that you could share with the audience today around what you think of blockchain, not personally, but from a Nestle point of view, and how you're considering to use it?
Sure. So if you think of digital transformation not just as a phrase, but a recipe to succeed in today's volatile business environment, I see information integrity being the key ingredient to this. So this is where blockchain acts as a contributor to provide or close the gaps that exist today with information integrity. The initiative that we are specifically running on and that you briefly alluded to, the one that we're running with Food Trust, involves collaboration with Walmart, with Unilever, and it is about building ongoing consumer confidence by tracking the fruit, the vegetables, the material that go into some of our products. For instance, the Gerber range of baby food, it is very important to provide that level of traceability or even visibility of what goes into those products. More recently, Nestle has expanded that blockchain footprint, that technology platform, to include our coffee brand, Zogas, as coffee sourcing is becoming time critical, both from a commercial and quality perspective. And as we build more experience and validate the capability of blockchain, we will naturally expand that to cover more use cases. And this further, in my view, strengthens blockchain as a critical function to help achieve information integrity. Naturally, with a lot of these things, time will tell how we progress in this space.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ravi. So 2025 is only 4 years away. Are there any other technologies that you would see Nestle exploring in the very near future? Maybe ones that we haven't discussed so far that maybe are a bit out there or would suit your business?
So, Mark, for us, technology is very important. It comes with the focus on when we deploy technology, it comes with a focus on consumer first, or consumer have being placed at the center of everything we do. Technology, as we know today, is an enabler to either positively and sometimes negatively influence a consumer's mindset. And almost every industry is a technology or a software proliferation vehicle. And the role of technology goes beyond just solutions that handle classical transactional business, but how we modernize, how we do business. So it's not just a Nestle, element, but I'm pretty sure all businesses have the same need and situation. Yes. So going back to that recipe analogy, the ingredients of today to help modernize are advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and automation. However, where we see is innovation continuously happening between the core and the edge of the company. That is the organization that is deploying the technology and the consumer and receivers. And smart technology today will need to evolve as new parameters and new use cases are discovered. For instance, we are augmenting our AI with conversational UIs, with voice, with augmented reality that extends to the consumers, aiding both our brand and product engagement. On the instance of blockchain that we touched on earlier, through the maturity and understanding, we can aid secure and efficiently transfer user data across our platforms and systems and provide that data visibility and integrity. Another space that regularly gets discussed is cryptocurrency. And with more global alignment of regulation, it could become the effective mechanism for electronic financial transactions and traceability. And in all of this, I guess what we're trying to see, where we're seeing technology play a big and important role is transparency. Transparency is a top theme for many businesses that want to succeed in long term. And technologies that help them do that will showcase in the future. And consumers, in my view, will be willing to pay more for transparencies. And manufacturers seeking this premium for their products will be able to fulfill demand and along with their integrity intact. I know it's a bit of an elaborate answer to your question, but I do think this is how I see technology proliferation, not so much what tech is important, but how it's evolving and how it is serving multiple use cases.
Ravi, I mean, it may be an elaborate answer to the question, but I think it's very thought-provoking at the same time. And on that point, I just wanted to say thanks very much for the insights. I certainly learned a lot more about your business, your integration environment, and the new technologies that you're going to be looking at.
And thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me here. And again, all the best and success to you.
Thanks very much, Ravi. And thanks everyone for joining this session. It's interesting that the underlying technology, EDI or electronic data interchange transactions that move across our network, the very first EDI transaction was exchanged in the late 1960s. And here we are today having the same conversation about EDI, blockchain, AI, machine learning. So EDI is here to stay for the long term. I've always positioned that EDI as being the DNA, is in the DNA of today's supply chains. And it's going to be augmented with new technology moving forward. So the idea really of this session is just to give you a flavor for where things are going. And once again, I just wanted to say thanks very much for Ravi's insights, especially from Nestle, who I think you agree are a relatively complex company in terms of their global supply chains. So thanks again, Ravi, for your time. And thanks again for joining this session. And goodbye.